Good morning, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Today I'm celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of international women. I'm celebrating International Women's Day and women I look up to. Today on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Good morning, my taste buds. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein here in the Goya Kitchen in the Culinary Lab at Florida Education Institute in Coral Gables. Welcome to SoFlo Taste. I grew up during some interesting times for women, certainly different times than my mother had. So today I'm celebrating International Women's Day with recipes honoring some of my favorite female heroes. So let's get cooking. The first recipe is one of Madeleine Albright's absolute favorites. Her favorite time of day to eat was breakfast, and she loved a good hearty breakfast. She loved poached eggs and she loved hollandaise. And it's funny, she only ate turkey bacon. I don't know why. She was from Czechoslovakia, and she happened to have been our first female Secretary of State, which I thought was pretty cool. She also did so many things for the advancement of women in the whole world. She's really someone I've always admired and looked up to. I only wish that I could have cooked for her, but this is in her honor today. So this is supposedly one of her favorite breakfasts. Right now I'm toasting some rye bread unconventionally on a little griddle, which we'll use a little later for pancakes. So I think I'm going to start by making hollandaise right now. So let's get a couple of egg yolks into something. You need like a cylindrical tall vessel to make hollandaise if you're going to use an immersion blender, just so you know. That was egg yolk. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice, just a tiny pinch of cayenne pepper to that. Let's add a little bit of salt. Make sure you keep flipping your bread, or as you probably have a good toaster. All right, next I'm going to add just a little bit of some water. It's just right from the sink, room temperature water, just to make sure my hollandaise doesn't get too thick. And let's go ahead and start blending. All right, so let's now add the melted butter little by little. This is warm melted butter, and it will emulsify the egg yolks. Make sure you add it in very little by little. Okay, beautiful creamy hollandaise. This is a little bit of a cheat recipe, but works every single time, and I absolutely love it. So here's the sauce. All right, I think the rye bread is probably almost ready. As I said, she loved her turkey bacon, so we have some cooked turkey bacon. Not as crisp as pork bacon, but hey, it works. So for me, I love using a little bit of white vinegar when I poach my eggs, because it really keeps the egg white really beautifully formed and together. So just a touch. You don't want to add too much vinegar. Obviously, you don't want vinegary eggs, right? So once your water just comes up to a boil, you're going to want to reduce it just a little bit. And let's go ahead and crack some eggs ahead of time, because this is really the best way to make a perfect poached egg. Let's just make 3, just in case we pop one of them by mistake. Next thing you're going to do is swirl your water as you add egg by egg. It keeps them floating at the top, and it also keeps them nice and separate. There's one. Be careful not to do it after the addition of one, because you don't want to crack anything or touch it with a spoon. And there's our 3 eggs. I have a little paper towel ready for when they're just cooked. So when you're poaching eggs and they're about to be pulled out of the water, if you want to make them really perfect, I mean, obviously the vinegar helped for the residual egg white to kind of separate itself, but if you want them really, really perfectly shaped, you can take a scissor and remove the kind of little flap at the top if you want to. It's not a must, but it just makes it look even more presentable. You can cook your eggs from 3 to 4 minutes. Obviously, 4 minutes making them even harder. And you'll just want, like I said, a little paper towel. I'm using a spoon with holes on the bottom, so a perforated spoon. And look how beautifully they turned out. So I snipped the top with a scissor just to make the shape even nicer. And then place them either on a plate, on a bowl, or as Madeleine Albright liked her eggs, on rye toast. And we'll drizzle a little bit of this gorgeous hollandaise over the top. Here you go, Madeleine. This one is for you. Come right back to SoFlo Taste for more from the Goya Kitchen and the Culinary Lab at Florida Education Institute, nestled in the city beautiful Coral Gables.
Come back to SoFlo Taste from the Goya Kitchen at the Culinary Lab at Florida Education Institute, here on Local 10. It's a Milam's Markets Minute. Here's Melinda Harper.
So we all know that Milam's has a wonderful wine selection, the winery, but you guys have got great beer selection too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a big selection of course, American beers, international beers from Germany, but our bread and butter are really our local beers from a lot of breweries in South Florida. And this big trend of non-alcoholic beer. We have a huge selection of zero alcohol, non-alcoholic beer. So if you're pregnant or just not into drinking, it's a good way to get the flavor of beer without actually drinking alcohol.
Show me some of your non-alcoholic selection.
So we have Stella. There's also these craft beers from Athletic Brewing, and then a mango one, which is very cool, which I would love to try.
Good. And you know what is so nice about non-alcoholic beer is beer does have a flavor. And if you love that flavor of beer and you can get the authentic taste from a Stella or the Heineken, I mean, it's a wonderful alternative. So if you're looking to buy some non-alcoholic beer, some regular beer, or maybe a seltzer, head out to a Milam's near you. And if you can't get to a Milam's, you can still buy your beer and wine online?
Online and get it delivered to your door.
Come check it out.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste and my tribute to International Women's Day, which, by the way, was the idea of Clara Zetkin, a women's rights advocate, in 1910. The first International Women's Day was celebrated the next year in 1911 and recognized by the United Nations in 1975. Whew. Now back to the food. All right, everyone. I thought that I would celebrate a woman that had the most incredible determination and just strength, like the most strength that I can only imagine having. So Rosa Parks was considered the mother of the civil rights movement. We all know her from December 1955, refusing to sit in the back of the bus. And if only we could garner the courage and intelligence that this woman had. All right, so she was known for a lot of things, especially her soul food. When it came to food, she taught us about things like collard greens and sweet potatoes, but I really wanted to try this one recipe of hers. It's a peanut butter pancake, and I've heard that they are the cat's meow. Everybody loves them. So let's go ahead and make them. So we are going to add, well, I've got some sugar in there in the bowl already. These are all the dry ingredients. I've got all-purpose flour and some baking powder, actually a good amount of baking powder, and a little bit of salt in here. And we're just going to sift that. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a mesh strainer like I have today, because we can't find our sifter on set today. For some reason, I probably stole it. Or I'm using it at one of the restaurants, but this works in a jiffy. All right, so once you've sifted that, go ahead and start on the wet ingredients. I've got 1 egg in a bowl. To that, I'll add a nice amount of milk. And then the peanut butter. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure what kind of peanut butter Rosa Parks used in her pancake, but I've decided to use a nice creamy peanut butter only because I was a little nervous about the recipe, to be honest with you, and I didn't know what it would be like with a crunchy peanut butter. So use what you want. I'm sure this will turn out great. Maybe even throw all this in a blender if you wanted to make it really beautifully homogeneous and creamy. But it seems to be breaking down pretty well. Just don't use a spoon. That will not break it down. You really need a whisk to do so. You really want to work it now before you go into the flour, because obviously it will never come together if you do that. Plus, you don't want to overwork your flour either. Once that comes together and is good and emulsified, add that to the flour mixture and switch your whisk for a rubber spatula. Now, I wasn't sure whether to maybe top the pancakes with more peanut butter, but I kind of love just maple syrup. I'm a little bit simple, so I put my favorite maple syrup next to the serving plate. Ooh, this really smells peanut buttery. Okay, the last thing that she did that is something that I've never done before is use shortening instead of butter. Now, I'm guessing maybe she even used lard, which would be really delicious, but in today's day, we don't really use that as much. I use it in some types of cooking, but not this, so I'm just gonna use the shortening part of it because, I don't know if you know, it holds heat beautifully. I don't love the use of hydrogenation to emulsify things and make things thick, but in this case, I think we're okay. We're just using a little bit. All right, so you can either use a ladle or an ice cream scoop to form your pancakes and get the right amount onto your griddle. This is what I have my griddle set out for, and this just works great. If you have one of these, they're really cheap. Plug them in anytime you have to make pancakes for the family, and you can make a ton of them on here. All right, y'all, I am going to go ahead and let these pancakes cook, and you can come right back because I've got another recipe for you. But first, can you see yourself in the culinary world? Well, graduate from any of the FEI's culinary arts programs and begin an exciting career. New classes are starting soon, and don't miss workshops from Alejandro Guerra and croissants and Massimiliano Liberatore on panettone. Ooh, that's exciting. For more information, visit fei.edu/culinary-arts or call the admissions department at 305-444-1515. Come right back. We'll see what's cooking on SoFlo Taste right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. Today's recipes, along with all others, are available on the SoFlo Shows webpage. Just scan this quick response code for the informative SoFlo Shows page with the SoFlo Health and SoFlo Home project there too. Also, you'll see this QRC on the ingredient list throughout the show. Now back to the taste. All right, everyone. Our next incredible woman that I would love to give kudos to and much respect is Jane Goodall. So Jane Goodall has not been a vegetarian for very long, but I mean, she is about to turn 90, and obviously it must be for good health because she's living it. And so I thought I would actually cook a recipe that is hers. She has a lot of published recipes. In fact, she has a few cookbooks, but we all know her as the woman who I guess lived amongst the chimpanzees in their habitat for so many years. She dedicated herself fully to the chimpanzees. And the one thing that I love about her, and I think most people do as well, is she thought of them not so much as sort of a science. If not, she was really trying to kind of relate them to us. And so she realized that they use their hands in somewhat the same way we do, to use sticks to find the ants in the dirt. And she did so many incredible things, and she thought of them really as humans. She humanized the chimpanzee for all of us. And so I thought it would be pretty cool to make one of her recipes. It's nice and simple, but it's a beautiful vegetarian recipe. So let's get started. First, she poaches some vegetables in water. She loves cauliflower, and so we'll add cauliflower to the water, as well as some carrots cut in any way that you like them. But they should be cut in a way that they cook just as quickly as the cauliflower do. So cauliflower are really porous, where carrots are not as much, and the cauliflower should definitely be bigger than the cut of the carrot, because carrots take a lot more time than cauliflower does to cook. I personally would have salted the water heavily, but that's a very chefy thing of mine. I'm sure that she has reasons for not adding the salt to the water, but I always feel like it adds just a little bit of flavor. So let's go ahead and start this part of it. I'm going to switch things just a little bit for mine. What she would do is, after they poached for a couple of minutes, she would add them to a pan with a good amount of olive oil, and then she would add aromatics such as garlic, chilies, and capers. But I feel like if you add the garlic, chilies, and capers first and really let them cook and soften, then add the vegetables to it, you'll probably get a little bit more flavor out of it. So I'm going to do it my way. But Jane, I promise I'm not going to change much of the outcome. I'm just turning it into just a little chefier. That's all, without any addition of any new ingredients. So I'm heating up some good olive oil, but not extra virgin olive oil, on about a medium-low heat right now. I'm going to already add a little bit of this garlic to the pan so that the garlic heats and cooks with the oil. It doesn't cook from the outside in with hot oil, it cooks from the inside out with a cooler oil. It's a lot of cauliflower, so let's add a nice amount. I'm also going to go ahead and season the garlic so that when the vegetables are added to it, it also has like a boost of seasoning, and you don't really have to season it afterwards. Let's add some freshly ground pepper. So when you have something like this that's already filled with flavor, kind of waiting for the vegetables to be introduced to the pan, you don't need to remove the vegetables and place them anywhere other than placing them directly into the pan. So this should be about a 2-minute cook for the vegetables, just to soften up. So the garlic is just starting to cook. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of red crushed chili flake and the capers. While I'm waiting for all that, I wanted to show you Rosa Parks' beautiful peanut butter pancake recipe. Let's go ahead and add some syrup to this right over the top. And I made you a nice tall stack of peanut butter pancakes. They smell delicious. They cooked beautifully. And I have a feeling you can easily use butter if you'd rather instead of the shortening when you make them. It's up to you. Okay, so these have cooked at just about 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and start removing them and add them. And be careful for splashing. Okay, it is hot oil, and this does have a little bit of water. But just be gentle and you'll be fine. It's incredible to think that Jane Goodall was good at so many things, and amazing how she humanized the whole experience with the animals, and that she could also cook and write, and she was just so incredible, and she's just so caring and thoughtful. So I don't know, I think we should try one of her recipes just out of kudos and respect for the woman that she is. Come right back and let's see how this plates up. I'll see you in a minute. Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. We are here celebrating Women's Day, and look at this beautiful dish from Jane Goodall. It's actually even more beautiful than I thought it would be. The aromatics are delicious, and so is she. These are great recipes, and I hope they're worthy of the women they honor. Do something today to celebrate International Women's Day and the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of all women. And you men can celebrate too. Taste buds, thank you for spending time with me. I'll see you all next week. Goodbye, mwah, and good taste. Hear me roar.